The Hawthorne studies, analyzed along with other studies. My name is Ryan Hunter. I go to Harris Stowe, and today we're going to get into it. So first, I would like to discuss some key players. That would be William J. Dixon, a supervisor at the Western Electric Company plant in Hawthorne, and George Elton Mayo, as well as Fritz Roethlisberger. They were employees at the plant, and they also headed the experiments for Hawthorne. So, what is the Hawthorne experiments, and why are we studying it? Well, I'll tell you. The Hawthorne experiments are an attempt to refocus the managerial strategy, incorporating the socio-psychological aspects of the human behavior in organizations. In order to do this, Mayo and Roethlisberger decided to conduct 4 experiments. This would include the illusion experiments, which led to the relay assembly room experiments, the mass interviewing program, as well as the bank wiring room experiments. So first, the illusion experiment. This was undertaken to determine the effects of change in illumination had on productivity. Researchers hypothesized that the illumination in the lights would affect productivity in the following ways. When illumination was increased, the productivity would increase as well. When illumination was decreased, productivity would decrease. However, the results found no correlation between the productivity of work and the illumination in lights. For this reason, researchers decided that more research was to be conducted. The relay assembly room experiment. This would be our second experiment. This was to determine the effects that changes in the hours and other working conditions had on the productivity rates. This experiment branched from the illumination experiment due to the lack of findings in relationship between productivity and the illumination rates. As each change was familiarized with one of the women in the 2 groups of 6, both of the groups' teamwork and increased cooperation resulted in the productivity surpassing the previous rates. The findings in this experiment caused a lot of redirection in the outcome suggested by how efficiency was increased as a result. The improvement of the women's productivity perspective towards the company grew. Ergo, as the woman's confidence and value was felt among the company, their confidence was then transferred into their group, and then productivity was increased as well. The mass interviewing program. This was a series of 20,000 plant-wide interviews conducted in 1928 and 1930 by Mayo and his team members in the Western Electric plant. The researchers wanted to further identify how Western Electric's workplace environment, supervision, insurance, promotions, and wages affected plant employees. It was found that employees' conduct and productivity was impacted by the general behavior of the group, and not in fact the economic factors. Be that as it may, this result provided to be unacceptable according to the specialists who managed the arrangement. Therefore, they conducted more experiments. The bank wiring experiment. This is our last experiment in the Hawthorne studies that was conducted. This experiment was conducted to observe a small group of 14 male employees to determine and analyze the social organization at work. It was hypothesized that the efficient employees and the more efficient employees would encourage those less efficient individuals to be more productive, increasing the amount of output and take advantage of the group incentive programs. However, the findings proved that those people working at a decreased pace were urged to increase their productivity due to peer pressure and vice versa. According to the British Library, researchers also discovered that those factory employees that completely disregarded the formal requirements set forth by the Western Electric Company, were doing so in order to prioritize the time limit placed on by the members of the group, i.e., they prioritize productivity above each worker doing their equal parts. You may be asking, what does this all lead to? This leads to the Hawthorne effect. The Hawthorne effect is a method of improving human performance. Explained, it is the performance and behavior that is improved in order to increase the attention of the client. Its main purpose is to determine whether various changes made of the working environment will or will not affect the employee's productivity. This is relevant because Henry A. Landsberger, during his analysis of the Hawthorne studies, is the one who first coined and described the Hawthorne effect in the 1950s. So, this all led to me saying and concluding that the Hawthorne studies clearly showed that that the satisfaction of the economic needs isn't the entire or sole factor that motivates employees to increase their efficiency and productivity. Management, in that case, should recognize that individuals shouldn't be looked at as sole economic beings, but rather as social beings. That is because social beings are groups of people or team members who, in a management, should try to understand those attitudes and pick out those who have special abilities and such, and find those jobs that work for them. And remember, when researching, I would make sure to keep a clear and succinct path on what you define to research and what you are trying to research. Thank you.